here, our friends and family, the West London Mat, this morning, this fine grey morning in London. Today is the disappearance day of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. In Revealed Truth, there's that, maybe the second chapter or something, there's that line of Srila Gurudev where he says that if we will, it's the end of the chapter, he says something like, if we will open our hearts, we will open the door of our hearts, we will find that our Sriyukta Vishakha Jai if we will open the door of our hearts, we will find that our whole, I can't remember exactly what he says, maybe Srila Rupa Goswami and our whole Guru Varga, they have a spoonful of nectar for us. Do you remember that line? Something like that. If we will open the door of our hearts, we will find they have a spoonful of nectar for us. And so Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is one of our gurus who has a spoonful of, more than a spoonful, or honey, maybe he says honey, a spoonful of honey for us, something like that. And there have been many different histories, or record books that have come from the Gaudiya Vaishnava group, describing from the time of Mahaprabhu, also describing Mahaprabhu's life, and we see that those works, they're sometimes referred to by Guru Varga, but two main works which are accepted as 100% bona fide, and completely, fully in the line of pure devotion, those are, of course, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which has come from Srila Kaviraj Goswami, and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, which has come from Vrindavan Das Thakur, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So very important for us. Those two books, fully reliable, fully in the line of our Guru Varga. Just as an example, another book, written also by a pure Vaishnava. Srila Janardhan Maharaj said he asked Gurudev about that book once. Gurudev said there's some touch, I don't want to say the name because the record is on, and that will be offensive on my part to say publicly. But Srila Janardhan Maharaj asked Gurudev about another, well-known work written by a pure Vaishnava about the life and pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And Gurudev said there is some touch of Gauranga Nagarivad there. This conception where they see Krishna as an enjoyer, like in the mood of Krishna, and actually that Vaishnava, he's a pure Vaishnava, but he just doesn't have the correct view of Mahaprabhu. And in this line of Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Saraswati Thakur, we understand that is not the proper conception of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is fully in the mood of a devotee, in the mood of a servitor. Of course, when he comes as Swayam Bhagavan Mahaprabhu, then he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani. But even as the Yuga avatar, he is in the mood of a devotee. It is a different mood, not the mood of Krishna in Vrindavan, as an enjoyer. So anyhow, these just to highlight, how important these two books are for us. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat first. First was called Chaitanya Mangal, but then later he changed it to Chaitanya Bhagavat because is it Lokanath Goswami? I can't remember. He wrote another account also, which he called Chaitanya Mangal. So then Vrindavan Das Thakur changed it. But you see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Kaviraj Goswami is referring to Chaitanya Mangal, but he's speaking of what we know now as the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And so Vrindavan Das Thakur, he has some special dignity because he wrote the first account of Mahaprabhu's life, teachings, pastimes, and so we see Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he's repeatedly giving respect, offering his respects to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. It's very exemplary actually to see like this is the proper Vaishnava mood, not to cross over the prestige, as Gurudev would express it, not to cross over the prestige of another Vaishnava. So Kaviraj Goswami is always very careful. He's conscious, like someone else is already some other, dignified Vaishnava, qualified Vaishnava, exalted Vaishnava has already described the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So he's very careful and respectful. Like, I'm not going to cross over his honor. And so he's always like paying deference to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, and like he says in one place, I'm just chewing on the remnants of Vrindavan Das Thakur, like that. Or sometimes he's saying, this incident has already been described very elaborately by Vrindavan Das Thakur, so I'm not going to go into so much detail here. You can refer to his book for that. He's not telling exactly the same thing again. But you can read there. And also in the beginning he gives some explanation as to why he's writing. First of all, why is he writing Chaitanya Charitamrita? Because, of course, many different reasons, but one reason he mentions is because, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he already wrote his book, but he was so intoxicated with devotion for Nityananda Prabhu. He described so much about Nityananda Prabhu that there wasn't so much space left. So there was a lot that got left out, about the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So, and of course, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's been described as the last direct disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he came a little later. He missed Mahaprabhu Nityananda Prabhu, but he also received the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, but not in person. He came to him in a dream and expressed his happiness with him and blessed him and sent him to Vrindavan. But Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he directly associated with Nityananda Prabhu, was his disciple. And so that mood of a disciple of Nityananda Prabhu, a devout, ardent follower of Nityananda Prabhu, that is pervading the whole of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Actually, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's described as in his place in Vrindavan, he's one of the principal 12 cowherd boys in the group of Baladev. So that is their eternal relationship, the Dwadash Gopas. So he traveled with Nityananda Prabhu, he served him personally, and we've heard Srila Gurudev tell that story, how he came to leave the direct association of Nityananda Prabhu and to write Chaitanya Bhagavat, that they were traveling, and this was the custom in those days, right? For sannyasi, they wouldn't stay in one place except in the rainy season. But here it's always the rainy season, so we have some excuse.
This for that.
So they were traveling, and Srila Nityananda Prabhu, he liked this haritaki, this sour fruit, right? They use an Ayurveda for digestion. So Nityananda Prabhu liked to take that after his meals. And then, so, but there's always staying at different places. And so the devotees they were staying with, they wouldn't always have it. Sometimes they would, sometimes they didn't. And so one occasion they were at a house where they had some, and Nityananda Prabhu took. And Vrindavan Das Thakur thought, oh, I will keep some extra. Then the next time we're at a place where they don't have it, then I can supply. It's dried. They take the dried fruit, so it will last. So he said, I will keep some extra with me. So then the next day, or maybe the day after, they're at another place, and they don't have any haritaki. And then Vrindavan Das Thakur, oh my Lord, I've saved some for you from the last place we were at. It was a mistake. You have the mentality of a grihasta. You're storing things, accumulating things. This is forbidden for sannyasi brahmachari life. You only keep exactly what you need and nothing else. Just the bare minimum. And then, so then Nityananda Prabhu says, you cannot stay with me anymore. You're not qualified to stay with me. So then he stays in the place of Denor, and there he comes to write, which is like right next to Gurudev's birthplace. I think we've all been there. And there's a temple there that is dedicated to him. And so he stayed there. And his mother also, she made a special request of him to write something. And his mother, she's also a very great Vaishnava, Narayani Devi. She received the direct mercy of Mahaprabhu. There's that famous incident described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, I think it is, when she's 4 years old and Mahaprabhu gives her some of his pan that he's chewing, and he gives it to her, like his prasadam, and then she chews it, and immediately she's overcome with Krishna prema, this 4-year-old girl, and showing all of the symptoms of ecstasy, and everybody's astonished. And she's actually the niece of Srivas Thakur. So, of course, Srivas Angan, the home of Srivas Thakur, was like, it was the hub of Mahaprabhu's Nadia Leela. And all of the principal devotees of Mahaprabhu, they would congregate there and have their exclusive kirtan. And so, very special place. And she was living there. And so, like, she saw, like, so much, and she heard so much. And I think it's on a recording of Srila Sridhar saying that she liked to stay close. Sometimes you see children like that. They like to, like, be with the grown-ups. Sometimes you see kids like that. I think Tanishta was like that when she was younger. Sometimes you see children like that. So Srila Sridhar, I think it was either him or Gurudev, but I think it was Srila Sridhar. He commented that she liked to be with the grown-ups, so she would hear everything that was going on, and so very, very blessed child. And our gurus have mentioned that they don't think she was married, but they don't think that he was a Vaishnava because his name is not mentioned anywhere in the record books. But then her son was Vrindavan Das Thakur. And so she moved to Mamgachi, and she married. And that's where Vrindavan Das Thakur came. Then we go there on the last day of Parikrama. It is very joyful always. It's the very last stop on the last day of Parikrama. It's always a very joyful place to conclude the Navadvitam Parikrama. And there Srila Saraswati Thakur, he established a Gaudiya Mat in remembrance of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he was born there and grew up there in Mamgachi. I don't remember which island that is. Madhya? Goda Druma? No, not Goda Druma Dweep. Moda Druma Dweep, I think. Yeah, I think it's Moda Druma Dweep. That island, also connected with Ram Leela, that island. And then later traveled with Nityananda Prabhu, and finally he settled in Denor in his later years.
What does the title Thakur mean?
Thakur, I'm not a linguist, I can't tell you exactly the meaning, but it is used, we know it is used to refer, like in common vernacular, still in India, the deities are called Thakur. Like in Navadvip, that's how they refer to the deities, as the Thakur. And it is also a title that is given to very exalted Vaishnavas. So also we have Srila Bhakti Thakur. There are different titles. I can't say the exact significance of each of them. Like these Jiva Goswami gave these titles to Shamananda Prabhu, that was a title. Srinivasa Charja, that was a title. And Narottam Thakur. I can't say exactly the significance, but a very, honorable title to give to an exalted Vaishnava. So, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, very devoted follower. I mean, I would think the title Thakur just indicates like they are worshipable as the Lord, like that, someone to be a Vaishnava so high that we will worship them as we will worship the Lord. I would think something like that.
But he acquires this title after he passes away.
Well, he wouldn't have called himself that.
So the principal is calling him Vrindavan Das.
I can't say. I don't know all the details. You'd have to check the books. I don't know. May even be that in recent times, our Guru Varga, they've given that title. Like Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he wasn't always called Dev Goswami. Gurudev, he added that, like at a later point. I remember Madhusudana Maharaj told me, either in the last years of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, or maybe even after he left, I'm not sure. But anyway, that came like later. Also Gurudev in the beginning, nobody called him that. But gradually, devotees began.
They were calling Srila Gurudev's mother Thakur Ma.
Aha, Thakur Ma, that's right.
The mother of
right.
worshipable
Yes.
Lord.
Yes, that's right. Thakur Ma. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, very, very devoted follower of Nityananda Prabhu, and always singing the praises of Nityananda Prabhu. As I recall, that is how Chaitanya Bhagavat begins, by describing the glories of Nityananda, Balaram, and sometimes becoming very, very strong about that. And there's that famous expression he makes in a few, at least two places. The same expression is repeated, that if you still cannot appreciate who Nityananda Prabhu is, because he's a little on the defensive, because Nityananda Prabhu, he is an avadut, right? So his behavior is eccentric. He's not behaving like your conventional saintly person.
Is avadut also a title?
I think you can call it a title. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean it's like Paramahamsa, avadut. I think so. So he's always showing himself as an avadut and not abiding by any conventional norms and behavior, and swimming with crocodiles in the river, and sometimes going naked, sometimes dressing like a sannyasi, or sometimes dressing like a very well-to-do, wealthy person of this world, with silken turbans and jewels, and it's a very, very unconventional behavior. And so, some section they can, misunderstand him or even criticize him, see him as a very ordinary person. And there's that famous incident when he comes naked to Srivas Thakur's house, and Mahaprabhu's there with Mother Shachi, Vishnupriya Devi, and many respectable Vaishnavas, and then Mahaprabhu, he's feeling some concern that devotees will not misunderstand the position of Nityananda Prabhu, so he takes an old kopin, an underwear of his, and he tears it up and distributes it. Worship this, you will achieve sense control. This is how exalted Nityananda Prabhu is. So anyhow, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's a little on the defensive, and so in a few places he says, like, I've gone to so much trouble to establish the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. If still you can't understand, I'm going to kick you in the head, with my left foot. And this is like at least twice, that he says this. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said that when he came to the Gaudiya Math, before he came to the Gaudiya Math, he'd heard some comments amongst the ordinary scholars, and they were critical of this mood, because by comparison, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he expresses himself in like painful humility. It is like painful to read the humble expressions of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Jagai madai hoite, mui se papishta, purishara kita hoite, mui se lagishta, mor nam shunije, tar punya koi, mor nam loy, tar pap hoy. And if I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madai, I'm lower than a worm in stool. If you hear my name, you'll lose all of your piety. If you say my name, you'll be ruined. Like, it's extreme humility. So the ordinary scholars, they would say like this, Kaviraj Goswami, he's a real Vaishnava. He's expressing himself in this humble way. And this Vrindavan Das, who does he think he is? How can he speak like this in such an arrogant way? So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said that he'd heard these comments, but then when he came to the Gaudiya Math, he heard Srila Saraswati Thakur's explanation that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was actually, like, as a very intimate servant of Nityananda Prabhu, he was opening, giving some opportunity for persons who would otherwise have no opportunity to get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. I was reminded of this the other day. It was last Monday, we had this Easter thing, and we had this picnic in the hills, and there were devotees, maybe like 15, 20 of us, and there were devotees and also some guests, and it's like very busy. It's like a very busy day in Italy. Everybody goes out for a picnic on this day. So you're walking like in this quiet countryside, and there's like dozens and dozens of people. It's very busy. But anyhow, Madhurananda Prabhu, Madhurananda Prabhu, he's like the main servant. It was like his day off, and he was wearing this black t-shirt with a skull and crossbones on it. It's just like like a big giant skull and crossbones on his t-shirt. And then some of us were laughing, and I was saying, like, who is he representing? Like, is he on our side? But then I was thinking, actually, he's opening a new channel of mercy. This person who would otherwise never be attracted, they may be attracted. Oh, these Hare Krishnas, they're pretty cool. They're down with it. So that was how I harmonized it. Giving some opportunity for persons who otherwise would never be interested or attracted in any way. Anyway, that's a side issue. So, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's like those persons who don't have faith in Nityananda Prabhu. He's kicking them in the head. You know, he's insulting them.
For the sake of those who have faith to feel confident.
No, I'm saying those who have no faith in Nityananda Prabhu, he's kicking them in the head.
Yes.
No, not that for the sake of those who do have faith. No, for their sake. The persons who don't have faith in Nityananda, he's kicking them in the head.
And that's
so
that the channel is opening, that grace.
Let me finish. Then Nityananda Prabhu is coming to compensate. Oh, please excuse my dear son. Like your daughter Subhadra, if she's misbehaving, maybe you going out somewhere, and well, she's a very gentle girl, but sometimes you see children, they'll just like hit another child, or they'll do something like disturbing, and then you're the parent, oh please don't mind my daughter, she's hungry, or she's tired, or please, she's just a kid, or please forgive her. You know, she's like your intimate child, and she's misbehaving. Then if she mistreats someone else, then you're responsible. Then you will apologize to that person. Oh, please forgive her. No, don't mind her. So in the same way, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's like the son of Nityananda Prabhu. And if he is misbehaving, then Nityananda Prabhu will come to apologize. So please don't mind my child. Because the person, they're making an offense, but they're already getting a reaction. Because they're getting punishment from Vrindavan Das Thakur. They have an offensive mentality. They're getting punishment from Vrindavan Das Thakur, so they're being purified by that, first of all. And then also the grace of Nityananda will be attracted to them. Oh, please, don't mind my crazy child. You know, he's a little fanatic about me. You know, don't mind him. So this is actually the grace of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. More mercy may come from the extension rather than the center. Srila Sridhar Maharaj made this point. Like in a hospital, there will be like the general section, and then there's like different specialist departments, and actually you'll get more attention, more care in one of the specialist departments. So in the same way, the Lord is like the main section, the general, and then his devotees, they're like those specialist departments. They can give more concentrated. Srila Sridhar Maharaj also gave the example of maybe it was in Madras, one Gaudiya Mat, there was a brahmachari who had some affair with a girl, and then it was Tirtha Maharaj, Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj, who they called Old Tirtha Maharaj. He threw him out of the temple. And then some time went by, and that brahmachari, and then the management changed, and it came to Srila Sridhar Maharaj and maybe another godbrother. And that brahmachari came back and said, oh, please, you know, I made this mistake and I had to go, but I'd like to come back again. I'd like to, you know, try again. And so Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, well, our Guru Maharaj, our Prabhupada, he is coming here soon. Now, we can ask him what is the proper thing to do. Maybe because he felt like he didn't want to cross over the decision that was made by his predecessor, like there may have been some feeling of respect like that. So he said, we'll wait for our Guru Maharaj, he's coming here very soon, we will ask him. And so Srila Saraswati Thakur came, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked him about this, and Srila Saraswati Thakur's answer surprised him very much. He told him that, you know, in that pastime when Kaliya Mahaprabhu in South India, his servant Kaliya Krishna Das, he's caught by these Bhattatari gypsies and leaves Mahaprabhu. That takes place. And then later, when they return to Puri, Mahaprabhu rejects him. He's very disappointed with his behavior. But then what happens is Nityananda Prabhu and the other devotees, they engage him, they keep him engaged in service. Mahaprabhu rejected him, but Nityananda Prabhu engaged him indirectly in the service of Mahaprabhu. So Saraswati Thakur answered saying that as Mahaprabhu did not accept Kaliya Krishna Das when he deviated, I also cannot accept this boy. But you, in the mood of Nityananda Prabhu, you should accept him. You should engage him. And so this was, for Srila Sridhar Maharaj, this was like a new thought. Because like normally you think, like, whatever my guru says, I'm going to do that. You know, whatever my guru thinks, I'm going to think that. I want to be totally in sync with the mood of my Gurudev. Normally, this is how we would think, right? But here, this is like a new idea, you know, that my guru is telling me not to think like him. Like, that's not your role to play here. And that is also very instructive for us, because, you know, everyone's in a different position, you know, and has a particular duty. And we have to ascertain what is our duty. We saw with Srila Gurudev, he, you know, Saraswati, he knows, he may like criticize somebody, speak unhappily about the behavior of someone, but you have to be intelligent and know you should not go and like attack that person because of that. You know, you have to be intelligent, understand like from what place is Gurudev speaking. It doesn't mean he doesn't love that person anymore. It doesn't mean, you know, he's anti that person. He loves, if anything, that's why he's pointing out the defects in that person, because he loves them so much. You know? So the real disciple of Gurudev, they will maintain some merciful and magnanimous attitude. Or even deeper vision, like some of our Vaishnavas have expressed, when Gurudev spoke ill of another Vaishnava, they felt Gurudev was actually speaking about them. Like, Gurudev's saying this about that devotee, but I know he's talking about me, actually. You know? But anyhow, this mood of humility, in this mood of Vrindavan Das Thakur, we find a different expression of humility. Humility doesn't always mean, oh, I'm the lowest of the low, but the real expression of humility may be to assert oneself. Sometimes for the sake of our Lord, of our Master. We have a few more minutes. For whom there's no question of second interest, they may do things that completely astonish us, that we can't comprehend, because from our like little limited, experience and our own like selfish natures, it looks like arrogance, it looks like pride. But for Vaishnavas of that caliber, there's no question of like personal pride, there's no question of separate interest. They've already merged their account with their Guru, with the Lord. And so whatever they do, you know, the standpoint is their mood of service to Guru and Gauranga. There's no separate accounts. It's all that one account. So that example of Vrindavan Das Thakur's there, it appears to be arrogant, but he is fully identifying himself with the mood, you know, with the dignity of his Guru. My Guru is being dishonored. I have to establish the position of my Gurudev. Also in the case of Meenaketan Ramdas, when he's one of the principal followers of Nityananda, when he goes to the house of Kaviraj Goswami and his brother and the pujari, they disrespect him, he becomes very angry. He leaves because he's not given proper honor, but not for himself. But he's thinking, I'm a representative of Nityananda Prabhu. If they're dishonoring me, they're dishonoring my Lord. So then he's angry because of that. Gurudev, I like the example. Gurudev said that sometimes when Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say Jai to his name, he would say Srinandi Swami Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj ki Jai. And all the devotees would say Jai. Then Gurudev would also say Jai. He said, because my Guru is saying it, so it's true. I have to respect what he's saying. Because there is a devotee, I think it's Siddhanti Maharaj, it's published on the website, very nice, wonderful talk. I think it's Siddhanti Maharaj, he's glorifying Gurudev, and Gurudev tells him, well, I cannot deny what you're saying because you are a very qualified Vaishnava. So if I deny what you're saying, it is disrespecting you, but you're a qualified Vaishnava, so if you see some qualification in me, it must be true, I cannot dismiss what you are saying, So this is also another expression of humility. And another example is in my mind, but it's gone right now. But anyhow, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, we are indebted to him for giving us this purely devotional literature. Srila Bhakti Thakur, Srila Saraswati Thakur commented that Srila Bhakti Thakur had a particular appreciation for Chaitanya Bhagavat as a Shuddha Grantha, as a pure scripture in the line of pure devotion. And his mood is, as Gurudev said, over-flooded with enthusiasm. and more, looking more at the Yuga avatar aspect of Mahaprabhu's Leela. Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he is revealing the inner identity of Mahaprabhu. Radha Bhav Jyoti Suvolitam Nomi Krishna Sarupam. Krishna adorned with the heart and halo of Radharani. That only comes from Kaviraj Goswami. And from Kaviraj Goswami also, such ontological, philosophical depth is there. It is incomparable. And the mood of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, it is, as I said, Gurudev said, over-flooded with enthusiasm. It is a different style. And looking more in that mood of Mahaprabhu, distributing the holy name. And it doesn't go into the final pastimes of Mahaprabhu, like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Antya Leela is there, which is, it is describing Mahaprabhu's last years when he's entering that mood of separation. But the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there is more focus on the middle section of the early years and the middle section of his pastimes here. In the mood of saving the fallen souls and spreading the holy name. And lastly, we want to mention Gurudev's wonderful pranam mantra that he wrote, and sometimes we're chanting before we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, because this is kind of like a bit of a conundrum, is that the word? Like who's the Vyas? Vyas means like who is distributing, like a particular conception. So we have Veda Vyas, Krishna Dvaipaya and Veda Vyas, who is spreading the knowledge of the Vedas. And so then one can say, so for Chaitanya Leela, who is the Vyas? Like who is like the recorder, the historian, the distributor of that Leela? Is it Vrindavan Das Thakur or is it Kaviraj Goswami? And so you see him in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna's Kaviraj, as I said, he's always deferring to Vrindavan Das Thakur and saying, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is the Vyas of Chaitanya Leela. Chaitanya Leela Vyas, Vrindavan Das, I believe is one of the lines there. He's always deferring, like he is the Vyas of Chaitanya Leela. I'm chewing on his remnants. But then you also see in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's always deferring to the future Vyas, because he's writing before, and he's saying, I'm not the Vyasa of Chaitanya Leela. The Vyasadeva will come in the future. So you see, like he's also like deferring to Kaviraj Goswami. In the future, Vyasadeva will come. So they're both like saying, he's the Vyas. No, he's the Vyas. And so Gurudev, he very wonderfully harmonized this. And in this, he wrote these verses when they published, I think Chaitanya Bhagavat. We have those beautiful Bengali editions of Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, which Gurudev was very proud of. And still to this, well, maybe not to this very day, but until a few years ago, when we were still in the mats, Vaishnavas were coming from so many different mats to buy those editions from us. Nobody has such beautiful editions as were produced from our mat. Yeah, beautiful, golden and orange. Very beautiful. Then like handy size, like you can carry it in your handbag like that. And Chaitanya Bhagavat, both.
We have them.
Yeah, we must have them. But for one, I think it was the Chaitanya Bhagavat, when it was published, Gurudev composed pranam mantras to both Vrindavan Das Thakur and Kaviraj Goswami, and he perfectly harmonizes this, and he explains there in that Chaitanya, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is described as the Chana avatar. This is one of the verses of Prahlad Maharaj. In Kali Yuga, there is the Chana avatar, means the hidden avatar. He is hidden avatar. And so then also in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, there's this twofold thing going on. There's the private, internal aspect, where Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, tasting, that mood of divine separation. And then there's the outer function, like the public duty, the Yuga avatar aspect of rescuing the fallen souls. There's these two aspects in Mahaprabhu's Leela. And so Gurudev said, so that we can conceive there are two Vyasas. There are two Vyasades. One Vyasade that is describing that internal aspect, and another Vyasade who is describing that outer function. And so, of course, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is describing more the Yuga avatar aspect, and Kaviraj Goswami, he is the Vyas describing that internal aspect. Did I say that right? So very beautiful, these verses. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande, Krishna Dasa Pravumtata, Chanavatar Chaitanya Lila, Vistar Karino. I'm offering my respects to Vrindavan Das Thakur, Kaviraj Goswami, who have distributed the pastimes of the hidden avatar. Vistar Karino, Dasa Vrindavanam Vande, Krishna Dasa Purumtata, Chanavatar Chaitanya Lila, Vistar Karino. Dvo Nityananda Parabja Karuna Dena Bhushito. This line is so beautiful. They are both decorated with the merciful foot dust of Nityananda Prabhu. They are both decorated with the merciful foot dust of Nityananda Prabhu. They both got the blessings of Nityananda Prabhu. Before they came to write these works, they received the specific blessings. Vrindavan Das Thakur directly, and Kaviraj Goswami, through heart in a dream, Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him in a very beautiful way and blessed him and ordered him. So they both got the mercy. And then we can also say, we're indebted to Nityananda Prabhu. Because of him, we got these wonderful texts. He blessed these Vaishnavas, then they could write these texts about Mahaprabhu. First, blessings of Nityananda Prabhu, then you can have connection with Mahaprabhu. So, Do Nityananda Prabja Karunadena Bhushito Vyakta Chano. Vyakta means revealed, and Chano, hidden. So one of the Vyasas is showing the revealed pastimes, the open pastimes, and the other Vyasa is showing the hidden, internal pastimes. Vyakta Chano, Buddha Chintyo. Buddha, what is understandable, Achintya. What is not understandable? One is showing the intelligible, understandable pastimes of Mahaprabhu. The other is describing those unintelligible, inconceivable pastimes of Mahaprabhu. Vyakta-achana Buddha-achincho, Vavande, Vyasadupino. They are both Vyasadev. Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva, Govindascha Ganaisaha, Jayanti Patakaschacha, Sarvesham Karunarjuna. We, the students at Chaitanya Saraswamad, were praying for the mercy of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar. So we pray for the grace of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Maybe he can kick us on the head, give us his grace. We pray for his grace in the line of pure devotion, and by his grace we may also attract the grace of Nityananda Prabhu.
Which Vaishnava did Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami associate with at that time?
He in particular, Srila Sridhar Maharaj described him as a direct disciple of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. He's also from the Bengal area, and he, receiving the order of Nityananda Prabhu, he left Bengal and came to stay in Vrindavan. I think Rupa and Sanatan were still present. Yeah, I think Rupa and Sanatan were still present. I think so. But in particular, he received the mercy of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami, he of course had very intimate association with Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar in Puri in the last 16 years of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So he witnessed everything. And he had some notebooks also. So like when Mahaprabhu was in this mood of separation in Puri, and Raghunath Das Goswami was there, and Mahaprabhu personally put him under the care of Swarup Damodar, who's the number one, most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu. So because of that, Raghunath Das Goswami, he knew what practically nobody else knew. Like you could count on the fingers of one hand the Vaishnavas who knew who Mahaprabhu really is, that internal aspect. So Raghunath Das Goswami knew that, and Kaviraj Goswami then later Raghunath Das Goswami came to stay in Vrindavan, and Srila Kaviraj Goswami took shelter of him in particular, and so Raghunath Das Goswami shared this with him. And so that was why, the Vaishnavas of Vrindavan, they especially requested, they were hearing Chaitanya Bhagavat. Chaitanya Bhagavat was already known. It's mentioned he's a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit, or maybe a disciple of a disciple. Can't remember his name. Haridas, his name is Haridas. There's one Vaishnav. He's like the temple manager of one temple. He and other Vaishnavas, they especially requested Kaviraj Goswami because they felt that he could describe in a new way. He could give something deeper which hadn't been given before, which was because he'd had the close association of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And other Goswamis there. And I think Rupa and Sanatan were still present. I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. He definitely, in the first chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he expresses, like, I've received the mercy of Rupa and Sanatan and Raghunath. Like, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, I've got connection with Rupa, Sanatan. And so it sounds like he did have their personal association, but I can't be completely sure. But definitely Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and other exalted, Srila Jiva Goswami also would have been present, and other exalted Vaishnavas. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, he actually particularly requested that his name not be mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, because he didn't want to take away from the dignity of Srila Rupa Goswami. Because Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur's writing, he's Tunga Vidya in Krishna Leela. He's one of the Ashta Sakis. And his writing is on par with Srila Rupa Goswami's. And so but he knew that Mahaprabhu established Srila Rupa Goswami as his successor, and he wanted all the attention to be on him. So Prabodhananda Saraswati actually particularly requested that his name, he not be mentioned there. So then we know he was also, Kaviraj Goswami had some association with him. And Lokanath Goswami also, and other exalted Vaishnavas. And still, and now we have this book by the grace of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because it was like practically lost, as I understand, Chaitanya Charitamrita. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had it published again and distributed. And of course, Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he's given the English translation of that book. Oh, we are so indebted to these great gurus in our line. This is as Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, the greatest theological literature which has ever seen the light of day. And in the Mat and Navadvip, they would read both. They would Chaitanya Bhagavat in the morning and Chaitanya Charitamrita in the evening, right? In Navadvip. And unfortunately, we don't have our own edition of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Maybe one day in the future. Swami Maharaj, he never had time, and from our mat it hasn't come. But maybe in the future.
One more thing, those extreme feelings of humility expressed by Vrindavan Das Thakur.
Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj.
Wasn't that Vrindavan Das Thakur?
Well, what type of humility are you talking about?
No,
I'm lower than a woman, so that's Kaviraj Goswami.
Kaviraj Goswami. Anyway, it might be difficult for you people to understand this expression.
Yes.
How to present that, or how to explain that when that question comes up, because when sometimes we're singing the songs and it's kind of
Yeah, I mean, personally, if we have newcomers, I'll try to sing some more upbeat songs.
No, I know, but sometimes they take the songbook and they find.
Yes, I know. I was a few months ago in one of our temples. I don't like Amara Jivan. I only sing it if it's only like our devotee group, and so I started to sing it, and then we had a newcomer came in. I thought, okay, well, I've already started and they don't have a book, so it's okay. And then one of our simple-hearted devotees, but they went to the effort to get the book and then show him, this is the verse that we're on, and I'm like, oh my God, like, my life is so full of sin, I'm always telling lies, I'm so wicked, the Vaishnavas have rejected me, and I'm like, oh my God. And I just stopped. I just started singing the Maha Mantra. I also worry about that, you know. It's something you can only understand once you're a little deeper in the practice. But I mean, I think the way that we can explain it is that, first of all, we can't imitate it. That is a mistake devotees can make too, that we have to imitate this mood, or we have to go around like this all the time. I'm nobody. Make some show. It can be sincerely thinking that's what we're supposed to do, but it's not what it's about. But what we have to understand is that these expressions are really it's not like they're depressed or they have low self-esteem, but these expressions are an indication of how deeply immersed they are in the positive side. Like, how much nectar are they tasting? How much ecstasy are they experiencing? That they can speak like that. That they're seeing such greatness that correspondingly they're feeling themselves to be so small. Like, if you say to anybody, when you stand in front of a big mountain, how do you feel? Like, do you feel important? Do you feel suddenly very insignificant? Or even if you're standing on the shore of the ocean, you see the vast ocean before you, suddenly you feel very insignificant. That's not low self-esteem. It's just a natural feeling to have. Like Newton. I'm standing, he's seeing like so much. And so he says, I feel I'm on the shore of the ocean of knowledge collecting some pebbles. That just shows like how much he's actually seeing, that he can speak like that in such a humble way. So and then when we hear how like the Goswamis lived, like barely eating anything, sleeping under a different tree every night, like what does that show us? That we're meant to live like that? No, it means that they're experiencing so much bliss within, that they can live like that. They don't need anything of this world. They're tasting that prapana jivanamrita. They're eating something else. They're sustaining their lives on something else, so that this whole world has become void to them. Like in the 7th verse of the Shikshashtakam, Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha purishayitam shanyayitam jagatsaram govinda virahena. There's that expression, this without you, a moment without you is like forever. This whole world is like a void without you. And Srila Srila Maharaj gives the example of a desert, that it is like, we're finding so much enjoyment, so much color, so much interest, so much variety. But for one who's been caught by the variety of the higher world, they just see a desert. It's like an empty desert here, because they're tasting something categorically different. So that is how I think we can explain it. That they're tasting something so high and so sweet. They're seeing something so great that they're feeling themselves to be so insignificant. They're in contact with such purity of such inconceivable degree that they're feeling so impure correspondingly. So actually we don't have any reference point in this world for that type of humility. It's not something we can really understand. And so we worship that kind of humility. We don't imitate it. No, we worship it, and we can appreciate it in that way. And also you can balance it out with some perspective, like, yeah, sometimes the Vaishnavas are expressing themselves like this, and other times they're speaking like Vrindavan Das Thakur. Their humility is expressed in different ways. And Srila Gurudev, he also described this twofold feeling that the devotees have, that sometimes they will say, I don't have anything, and then other times they will say, I've got everything. You know, he described it as a chincha beta beta. So it's not only like this mood, but we find different moods amongst the Vaishnavas. But yeah, I mean, I also think that we don't want, for very new people, we don't need to expose them to too much of Amara Jivan type expressions. Once you're on the path, then you start to feel the significance of it. It becomes something very meaningful. But in the beginning, persons, they won't be ready for it. I mean, there's different perspectives. One can also see it as, I mean, it's kind of like humility's like out of fashion or something. Like, even without so much devotional perspective, some person could also just appreciate it as a dignified thing, that an exalted soul is expressing themselves as in a humble way. They're feeling themselves to be insignificant. There's some dignity there, you know, to express humility, to express lowliness. But nowadays, like arrogance and pride, that is like, you know, that is fashionable. You know. But I mean, you know, Gurudev told you, like, be confident. And he told other servitors, be confident. That was, I think it was Nakul Prabhu, he told me that was like a theme of Gurudev's, that he was encouraging him and others to be more assertive and confident in their service. That was something that he told you, right? I remember you said. So it's, you know, we have to understand what humility means. It's not some artificial thing. It doesn't mean that you don't have confidence in your service, because that confidence is based on your connection with your Guru for service necessity. Gurudev's mood was like that, confident, optimistic, positive. He in one place he expressed, whatever I could do, I did. Like, whatever I was able to do, I did. And Guru Maharaj was very happy. And he said, and I was never lamenting, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. I never thought like that. Simply, just simple and straight. Whatever I could do, I did that. Like, boss, you know. I did as much as I could. And Guru Maharaj was very happy with that. No, like, insecurity and lamentation or doubt or hesitation. This is like a little faithless, actually, lacking confidence in our Lord, lacking confidence in our Gurudev. But I don't have any separate interest. I'm acting for your interest. So why do I need to doubt? Why do I need to hesitate? Why do I need to be insecure? Why do I need to be afraid? And if I make a mistake, okay, cool, then tell me, what did I do wrong? Let me learn from it. Now, this is like the positive and optimistic devotional mood. Like, be real. Gurudev appreciated that. Like, devotees who were real about who they were and where they were. Not some show of you know, false humility or imitation, confused imitation. Gurudev, and we know, like, some of the devotees who were dear to Gurudev, they sometimes had some arrogance and showed themselves in a mood like that. But Gurudev, he didn't mind that, you know. He may chastise them for that sometimes, but he appreciated that they were just being themselves, you know. Like, we need to gradually learn. And how can we learn if we're not like putting all our cards on the table? Like, we're hiding something inside of ourselves. We need to be purified. So we need to like just lay it all out and be humiliated and make mistakes and do wrong things, you know. I heard, because I'm wanting to do these podcasts, so I was listening to some mundane podcasts, and there was one interview with this famous comedian in America, and he was saying, he said that the best comedians, they make a fool of themselves when on their first time around. It's like and he said he went through it himself. It's like most humiliating, like degrading experience, like being on a stage and just completely messing up, you know. But he said, but you have to do that, like, and he said the best comedians, they always start like that. It's like they're coming from a really like real place, you know. And he said other comedians, they're like crowd pleasers and they're like slick and they know all the right things to say. Maybe they're following some formula. They're like okay, but you don't get like the really interesting, like, you know, comedians from that, you know. But the ones who just like flop like the first time around, they're the best ones eventually. The first few times they screw up and humiliate themselves and everyone's staring at them in shock, but eventually they work it out. So it's like that. We need to like be on the stage and just like lay it all out. This is who I am, okay? Like, I've got all my problems. I'm greedy, or I'm lazy, or I'm lusty, or I'm arrogant, or whatever it may be. Everybody like, and by all of you pointing the finger at me, that's going to purify me. Srila Sridhar Maharaj has also expressed like that. You know, that if I have done some wrong, and others are criticizing me for that, I will become purified. You know, that will purify me. So everybody, like, point your camera at me, criticize me good. It'll purify me, it'll clean me, you know. So we can't be afraid of that, you know, afraid to flop. Because we're students, we are perpetual students. If we're sincere, that's how we're thinking. I just need to learn. Like, I fell down and you're all laughing at me, but can you show me the right way to do it? Like, that's all I want to know. I'm not thinking about my pratishta here. People are laughing at me. I just want to learn. I want to know the proper way to do it. And I'm going to surpass all of you, you know, in a few moments. Should we stop there? Or we'll keep going all day? Jaya Srila Bhakti Sukha. Who hasn't sung yet? Or has everyone sung? Mahamantra, who will you sing? You have to go, okay. Vrindavan Das Thakur. Jaya Devi Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Yadavaya Krishnavaya Nama
Yeah.